Have you ever wondered why there is one moment in your life that you avoid thinking about? A moment you never fully admitted, even to yourself? A moment so abrupt, so strangely disorienting, that it felt as if reality paused just long enough to expose something meant only for you. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. There was no thunder in the sky or flash of light. Yet somehow, that quiet instant left a fracture in the way you once understood the world. Something shifted, something recognized you. And the truth is, you felt it. Not in your ears, not in your mind, but deep inside the place where instinct becomes memory. As if a presence, older than your body, but familiar to your spirit, whispered, "You're finally awake." Most people dismiss moments like that. You couldn't, because it didn't feel random. It felt directed at you, targeted, tailored. It felt like the atmosphere itself had identified your signal. And if you carry the M on moon awaiting discovery, then that moment wasn't a coincidence. It was your first encounter with the truth you've been sensing your entire life. The gatekeepers had just marked your awareness, not to frighten you, to activate you. For a few rare individuals, it begins with the hand itself, with the shape that curves across the palm and forms the unmistakable letter M, or the subtle crescent that seems carved into the skin by something older than genetics. And before we go deeper, before we unravel this signal that follows you even when you pretend not to notice it, I want to ask you something very simple but surprisingly revealing. Which country are you watching this from right now? I ask because the signal of the chosen does not respect geography. It emerges in deserts, megacities, rural villages, mountain towns, islands, and places where most people never imagine a chosen one would be born. The coordinates do not matter. The mark matters. The matters. If you are still here, if your attention has not slipped away, but tightened instead, then something inside you already knows that this video did not arrive by coincidence. This channel exists as a tool, a lighthouse, a form of orientation for those who carry the astral signature on their palms. It is not entertainment. It is not mere information. It is a map. And if the mark on your hand forms the letter M, or the crescent that bends across the palm like a fragment of moonlight frozen into your skin, then you are not just watching something. You are being identified by something. You were born with a signal that only 1 in a million receive. A signal tied to what ancient mystics once called the gate of origin, the point where consciousness enters space-time, not by accident, but by assignment. This is why, since childhood, you sensed things earlier than others, not better, earlier. Dreams arriving before events, frequencies hitting you before people spoke, rooms that felt heavy or bright without obvious cause, and that quiet suspicion that the world around you was not reacting to your presence randomly, but responding as if it recognized you. Before you doubt yourself again, sit with this thought. What if the intuition you learned to suppress was actually an early activation of the astral signal encoded in your palm? What if the moments you brushed off as imagination were the exact moments you were receiving instructions meant only for the lineage of the M bearers? Many chosen individuals speak about an unexplained feeling of being watched, not in a threatening way, but in a way that feels supervisory, as if something monitors their growth, their emotional state, their choices. They move through life with a sense that there is a second layer beneath physical reality, an intelligent structure that arranges encounters, reveals warnings, and opens or closes doors depending on unseen timing. Yo. Might have felt this too, even if you never put it into words. And the reason is simple. Your palm carries a mark that acts as a signal beacon to the astral gatekeepers, entities or forces that operate in a realm where intention and vibration hold more power than physical movement. The M mark has been misunderstood for centuries. Some called it a sign of good fortune, others of leadership, others of spiritual sensitivity. But what if it is much more specific? What if this mark behaves like an identification code, a fingerprint of destiny that communicates with layers of reality your conscious mind barely remembers? Imagine for a moment that existence has checkpoints, gateways, and informational bridges that only certain souls can access without fracturing their psychological structure. Most people would collapse under the weight of that perception. But not you. If you carry the M, your system is built to withstand increased spiritual voltage. That would have broken the average person. This is why you endured betrayals that should have destroyed your trust, yet something inside you remained intact. This is why you sense danger before it arrives, even when everyone else insists you are overreacting. The truth is that your sensory system is calibrated to a different spectrum. You do not merely observe reality. You interpret its tone. Many chosen individuals also report strange childhood memories that feel half real and half symbolic, like flashes of a place they have never physically visited, or a presence that stood beside their bed at night, not to frighten them, but to watch over them. These experiences are not hallucinations. They are echoes from the astral gate that marked you at birth. The moment you entered this reality, the signal began emitting. The M mark did not appear randomly. It formed because the soul that occupies your body carries a thread connecting it to a lineage that does not operate solely in the physical world. A lineage of interpreters, dream navigators, emotional decoders, and energy translators. This is why sleep never felt like sleep for you. It felt like travel. It felt like learning. It felt like meeting something on the other side of silence. Let us go even deeper. There is an ancient concept rarely discussed publicly, a belief that certain souls carry what was once called the luminous imprint. This imprint is said to manifest physically as a symbolic mark, often resembling the letter M or the crescent of a rising moon. The imprint is not decorative. It is functional. It signals to astral gatekeepers that the soul it belongs to has been granted access to territories of intuition and perception that the average human brain cannot navigate without destabilization. If you ever wondered why your sensitivity felt like both a gift and a burden, it is because the luminous imprint amplifies internal perception. You do not feel lightly. You feel deeply. You do not sense partially. You sense completely. Your internal world does not whisper. It rings. Now consider something even more intriguing. Throughout history, spiritual texts spoke of individuals born with a threshold frequency, a resonance so distinct that it can influence the atmosphere around them. These individuals often appear during periods of transition or collective awakening. They act as tuning forks for the world, stabilizing turbulence by simply existing. They do not seek attention. They are not loud, but their presence alters the energetic temperature of any space they enter. Sound familiar? If so, then the imprint in your hand is not just a mark. It is a declaration of your role. People with the M mark tend to learn early that they are different, not because someone told them, but because reality behaves differently around them. Teachers picked up on their insight, even when they were quiet. Strangers opened up to them without understanding why. Animal technology glitched around their emotional peaks, and during their lowest moments, they felt an invisible pull preventing them from falling completely. This is not accidental. The gatekeepers do not allow the signal to collapse prematurely. You are meant to continue. You may have also noticed patterns of number sequences appearing not once, but repeatedly. Not the commonly known sequences you hear people talk about, but combinations that feel strangely tailored to your life, like timestamps forming familiar shapes, dates repeating in your personal history, or numbers that appear during emotional thresholds. These are not coincidences. They are calibration codes, small adjustments sent through the fabric of time to align you with the path you instinctively feel but cannot fully articulate. These codes operate like reminders, nudging your awareness back onto the trajectory your soul selected before incarnating. Now let us talk about dreams. If you are truly among the chosen, your dreams are not mere psychological leftovers. They are transmissions. You may have felt this without knowing how to describe it. Some dreams feel instructional. Others feel like warnings. Others feel like encounters with people you know yet have never met. And sometimes, you dream of yourself in places that do not exist on Earth, but feel more familiar than anything in your waking life. This is because your consciousness remembers the astral corridors where the gatekeepers operate. The dream space is the closest your waking mind can get to that territory without destabilizing. You receive more information in dream form than most people receive in their entire waking lives. There is something else too, something many chosen ones share but hesitate to admit. In moments of deep stillness, when the external world softens, you may feel as though you are not entirely alone inside your own awareness. Not in a frightening way, in a guided way, as if another presence, older and wiser, stands within the background of your perception. This presence does not tell you what to do. It observes, it nudges, it heightens your senses when necessary. It quiets your mind during danger. It amplifies your intuition before significant events. If you have felt this, you are not imagining it. The gatekeepers monitor their signal carriers. You are not owned, you are not controlled, but you are watched over. Now let us bring this back to your hand. The letter M on your palm forms through an alignment of the heartline, headline, and lifeline. But in chosen ones, it forms with a symmetry or intensity that exceeds normal palmistry definitions. And the crescent mark, often faint and only visible in specific lighting, represents the arc of the astral gate. When someone carries both, their intuitive system becomes uniquely tuned. This is why people with your mark often experience forked timelines, meaning they have moments where life could go catastrophically wrong, but something reroutes the outcome at the last second. It is not luck, it is preservation. The gatekeepers intervene only when a timeline threatens the mission encoded in the signal. Before we proceed, I want you to reflect on something that may challenge you. Have you ever wondered why certain people leave your life abruptly, even when you felt attached to them? Why some jobs collapse suddenly, forcing you into unexpected new paths? Why opportunities appear out of nowhere after long periods of stagnation? These are not random disruptions. They are course corrections. Your life is not meant to follow the same trajectory as those without the mark. This is why you feel misplaced in environments that others settle into easily. You feel the misalignment before the consequences manifest. This sensitivity is part of the signal. There is a reason you found this channel and a reason this channel found you. It exists to help you decode what you were never taught to interpret. Most people live their entire lives unaware of the deeper structures guiding their perception. But you cannot afford that. The signal in your palm demands awareness. It demands growth. It demands that you recognize yourself not as a passive participant in the world, but as a carrier of an ancient assignment that began long before your first breath. This video is not the beginning of your awakening. It is a continuation of something that started years ago, perhaps even in childhood, perhaps even before that. And as we move into the next parts of this series, you will understand your intuition, your visions, your patterns, your recurring emotional cycles, and the strange magnetic feeling you have towards certain people and places. You will also understand why your presence, what that symbol represents. You were not born randomly. You were born encoded. There is something I want to say right at the beginning of this second part, something I feel compelled to express before we dive deeper into the architecture of your intuition and the hidden network of forces that have been guiding you since birth. You are here, watching this moment for a reason, and if you have felt even a slight resonance with the words from the first block, then allow yourself to stay fully present now. This channel was created as a compass for those who carry the M mark and the crescent that curves like a silent moon across the palm. And before we continue unraveling what your signal truly means, I want to invite you, sincerely and without any rush or pressure, to subscribe to this channel. Not as an obligation, not as routine, but as alignment. Because if you really are among the rare 1 in a million who carry this intentionally for your awakening is not just helpful, it is necessary. And since this channel exists to guide you, I want to ask something personal. What kind of content would support you next in your journey? What theme is calling your intuition? Your suggestion will help shape the path for others who share your mark, yet may be afraid to speak or unsure of what they are experiencing. Feel free to share it. I am asking from one human to another. Now let us continue expanding the lens on this phenomenon that has followed you quietly since childhood. If the M mark is the visible emblem of your assignment, then your intuition is the instrument through which this assignment communicates with you. Most people assume intuition is simply an inner feeling or a quick judgment formed by subconscious memory. But for those who carry the astral birth signal, intuition operates on a far more complex layer. It is not just an internal guide. It is a responsive system that interacts with environments, frequencies, hidden information, and the emotions of others, long before those things become visible. Your intuition does not activate randomly. It activates in patterns. And if you have ever felt that your warnings come too early, your insights too sharp, your clarity too sudden, it is because your intuitive system is receiving information from a tier of reality that most people are never permitted to access. You might think this is exaggeration, but reflect on your own life. Have you ever walked into a room and felt the atmosphere behave like a message instead of empty air? Have you ever sensed the tension between two people before they argued? Have you ever predicted the outcome of a situation without having enough details? Have you ever known someone's intentions without hearing a single word? These abilities are not psychological quirks. They are symptoms of a system that is always scanning the invisible layers of human interaction. And that system is tied directly to the signal encoded in your palm. Your M mark is not decorative. It is functional. It elevates the sensitivity of your perception far beyond the human default. Let us take this further. The astral gatekeepers, the ones who watch over those with this birth signal, do not operate through visions or voices in the way people imagine. Their communication is embedded in timing, synchronicities, emotional calibrations, and sudden bursts of clarity. When they need you to avoid something, you will feel a discomfort so undeniable that even if you rationally want to continue, your inner world will pull you back. When they need you to find someone, circumstances suddenly align so perfectly that it appears planned by an invisible architect. When they need you to step into a new phase of your path, old structures collapse abruptly, leaving no choice but forward momentum. This is one of the primary signs that you are under the watch of gatekeepers. They do not negotiate, they orchestrate. Some chosen ones describe feeling as though their life unfolds in chapters, each separated by a dramatic emotional or environmental shift. Periods of isolation, followed by periods of intense spiritual growth. Phases of silence, followed by sudden encounters with life-changing information. Long stretches of stagnation, then abrupt expansions that feel almost too coincidental to be chance. This pattern exists because your life operates under a different architecture. You are not meant to drift aimlessly. You are meant to follow a map embedded in your energetic field. The M mark and the crescent moon pattern are physical traces of that field. Another trait almost universal among signal carriers is the sensation of premature wisdom. While others require years of experience to understand a concept, you feel truths instantly, without study or debate. You might have been the child who asked questions adults could not answer. You may have felt older than your age, observing the world of quiet knowing that seemed out of place. And although this made you different, it also made you misunderstood. People rarely know how to interpret someone who perceives deeper layers of reality without explanation. Yet your intuition did not come from education. It came from memory. A memory your physical mind has long forgotten, but your energetic blueprint continues to protect. And this memory, this internal guidance system, is updated at specific intervals throughout your life. This is where the gatekeepers come in. They do not just observe, they intervene when necessary. Some interventions are subtle, others are unmistakable. Think of the relationships that ended suddenly despite your emotional investment. Think of the opportunities that disappeared just when you thought they were guaranteed. Think of the jobs you lost for reasons that seemed unfair. Think of the friendships that dissolved as if an invisible hand removed them. These moments do not happen to punish you. They happen to redirect you. The signal you carry is not compatible with environments that drain your energy or corrupt your purpose. When you try to force yourself into places that do not align with your assignment, something collapses, and you are pulled out, often violently, because the cost of staying is to measure your alignment. They assess your emotional development, your intuitive responsiveness, and your readiness for the next phase of activation. You feel them because your signal is active. There is another pattern that appears repeatedly in the lives of the M-marked. They experience moments of dislocation, sudden shifts in perception where reality feels slightly off, as if something has been edited or adjusted. These moments are not illusions. They often occur during timeline recalibration, a phenomenon where the structure of your life is subtly altered to align you with a predetermined path. It may manifest as forgetting why you entered a room, losing track of time, or feeling that a conversation changed direction too abruptly. Most people dismiss these episodes, but if you carry the signal, they are markers of an underlying intelligence adjusting your trajectory. I want to take you into the realm of dreams again, but this time from a different angle. There are dreams forget instantly, and dreams that stay with you for weeks, months, or years. But the dreams that matter most are the ones that feel like warnings, instructions, or encounters. Pay attention to dreams where you are being called, guided, or shown structures that look unfamiliar yet deeply symbolic. Dreams involving staircases, corridors, doors, celestial landscapes, or fragmented clocks often indicate that your consciousness is interacting with the astral threshold. These dreams are diagnostic tools used by the gatekeepers to assess your readiness. When you remember them vividly, It is because your vibration during sleep reached a frequency high enough to register the experience. Let us look at your relationships through a new lens. Chosen individuals tend to attract two specific types of people. The first type is those who feel inexplicably drawn to you, as if they have known you before. They value your presence, seek your guidance, and feel safe around you, even when they cannot. Explain why. These connections are often tied to souls who have crossed paths with you in previous lifetimes or alternate versions of this timeline. The second type is people who react with immediate discomfort or hostility, even if you have done nothing to provoke them. They may try to undermine you, belittle you, or project their insecurities onto you. These individuals are reacting to the intensity of your signal. Their energetic field cannot tolerate your frequency. You do not need to judge them. You simply need to recognize them. Now consider this. If the world operated purely on logic, your intuition would make no sense. Your warnings would be paranoia, your insights luck, your sensations confusion. But you and I know your experiences defy that explanation. You feel things before they unfold. You sense patterns before they materialize. You anticipate danger before others recognize the signs. This is because and this decoding begins in your palm, in the intersection of lines that form the M. The mark acts as a receiver. It pulls information through the subtle layers of reality into your awareness. This is why you often understand things you cannot explain. You are not imagining, you are interpreting. Let us move to another important aspect of your path. People with your signal often undergo a period of emotional collapse before a major spiritual shift. It may look like heartbreak, exhaustion, identity loss, or sudden isolation. But this collapse is not destruction, it is dismantling. The version of you that existed before cannot carry the next level of your activation. The emotional weight of that phase forces you to shed outdated beliefs, toxic attachments, and illusions about who you are supposed to be. Once that structure breaks, the new understanding rises with a clarity you did not know was possible. If you have lived through such a phase, it was not failure, it was initiation. Let us talk about timing. Signal carriers experience cycles of activation at specific intervals. Some occur every few years. Others emerge during moments of intense emotional or physical transformation. During these periods, you may feel heightened intuition, increased synchronicities, powerful dreams, and sudden shifts in your internal world. These cycles are not random. They are checkpoints. The gatekeepers assess your readiness and expand your access to deeper layers of perception. If you have recently felt a sudden surge of insight, an unexplained emotional release, or an awakening of memories you do not fully understand, you may be in the middle of one of these cycles. I want you to think about your childhood again, not through nostalgia, but through symbolism. Look for moments where you exhibited unusual awareness for your age, times when you felt responsible for the emotions of others, times when you sensed danger that adults ignored, times when you acted like a guardian with understanding why. These were early signs of your assignment. Children with the signal often behave like observers rather than participants. They watch, they analyze, they sense, they adapt. Their maturity comes from memory, not experience. Your intuition was not coincidence. Your isolation was not punishment. Your misalignment with the world was not a flaw. Everything about you has been leading you back to this understanding. The M mark and the crescent on your palm are not decorations. They are declarations. They announce who you are, what you carry, and why you were born into this timeline.